Hello and welcome to the Ode to Cinema podcast. I'm Caleb Meyer and I'm joined again by Luke Crawford.
Hello there.
And today we're going to be discussing Christmas movies. Our favorite Christmas movies, what makes a Christmas movie, what traditions we have. Yeah, just kind of a free-form discussion on everything Christmas as we're arriving at that time of year.
Christmas is my favorite time of year.
So Luke, I'm curious, before we get started, I just want to hear what your favorite Christmas movie is.
For the longest time, it was always Nightmare Before Christmas. But then,
okay.
I don't know. I vary from Christmas to Christmas because I love, and most people, not most people, but a lot of people would disagree, but I love Die Hard. It's like one of my favorites, but a lot of people are like, that's not a Christmas movie. It came out during the summer. But I enjoy it a lot. And I know our family has watched it together a lot, so.
Well, I think whatever you think is a Christmas movie can be a Christmas movie. We can get more into that in a little bit. I think my favorite would have to be, and it's pretty classic and standard, but It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know. It just gets me every time. It's regardless of Christmas movies, it's one of my favorite movies. And I think, yeah, it's playing all the time on TV, but still, I love it. I don't watch too many Christmas movies. Like, I've watched a number, but I'm usually not big into, watching Christmas movies as much as other movies. I'm not a big Christmas movie watcher, but yeah.
I gotcha.
So, what you were hinting at, I think we should get into, and that is what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie.
I really liked your answer because I had never heard anyone say that before. It's always been like the argument of like, does it have Christmas in it? When did it come out? Because I know Die Hard came out during the summer.
Yeah, I was looking into like see if there were other contested movies like Die Hard. So I looked up like other movies that people claim are Christmas movies, and I found this site that had a few different ones. And it had some pretty hilarious reasonings behind it. So two that were on that list were, I'll start with The Hunger Games.
Really?
And here he has a little synopsis for each one. So for The Hunger Games, it says, every year, President Snow picks two lucky children from impoverished parts of the country to come to the capital. The kids get a great meal, presents, and a chance to run around in the biggest playground in the country. Two special teenagers avoid the commercialism of Christmas and find love.
That's really interesting.
I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then there's also The Shining. The Shining is Stanley Kubrick's heartwarming story of overworked writer Jack Torrance and his desire to get away with the family to a winter wonderland. While Mommy and Daddy get the Yuletime blues, their vivacious scamp gets possessed by the holiday spirit. Ultimately, a frolic in the snow teaches Jack about the real meaning of dressing up for Christmas.
I love that. The Shining is now my new favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Nightmare Before Christmas as well, which is another one that's debated on whether it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie.
I like it because it's both, because I love this time of year from September to December or partly through January, just because it's like my birthday's in September, and then it's Halloween, then it's Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas. It's this wonderful time. I also love the snow in the fall.
Yeah. Except now you're in California, so...
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay, Luke, so if you had to come up with some criteria for what makes a Christmas movie, so regardless of what we said about like whatever you believe is to be a Christmas movie can be a Christmas movie for you, what would you think that a Christmas movie would need to include?
I feel like a Christmas movie, some people might disagree, but I feel like it has to include Christmas. Like, at least it has to take place around or near or has some affiliation, whether that be like setting or music. I feel like if it has Christmas in it, it can be considered a Christmas movie. To where like The Shining, I can understand how it could not be a Christmas movie, but it's like, I think about it more and all the winter and the snow. I feel like that is also related to Christmas. But then I'm sure there's a bunch like Snowpiercer. You could be like, oh, that's a Christmas movie then.
I love the fact that too for the Hunger Games one, just President Snow.
Yeah.
The snow ties in so well.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. For
thought.
me, I feel like for me it's more of the thematic. Like I feel like there's got to be someone maybe who's at a low point or someone who's a grouch or something who learns, how to look past, whatever. Usually it's like material possession or something.
Yeah.
But to find joy or something like that, I feel like is a pretty traditional Christmas movie theme.
I've never really thought of it that way, but it's kind of interesting how many movies could then come into that and become a Christmas movie if you think about it that way.
Yeah, just based on thematic elements. Yeah, because I mean that is fairly standard of a movie arc. But yeah, I think I agree with you that it would have to be centered somehow around actual Christmas time.
Yeah. But I'm also not going to be one to tell someone like, hey, you can't watch that. That's not a Christmas movie. I feel like people have their own versions of Christmas movies that they watch.
For sure.
'Cause I know a lot of people could consider like Harry Potter movies being Christmas and several of them there are scenes that take place during Christmas.
Yep.
And it has this whimsical feel to it.
Yeah, the theater I have by me does flashback cinema, which is like a nationwide thing, I think, but they're in like the Christmas season, and two of them they had were Die Hard and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
And then they're going into like the whole Harry Potter series after like in January, I think. But yeah, I think there's a pretty strong Christmas theme in Harry Potter, I guess. But yeah, anyway, I think a lot of it too is just based on your own personal tradition, because sometimes it might not even be a film that has anything to do with Christmas, but you just watch it around that time of year with your family.
Like I know that was a thing with the Gremlins, because that takes place during Christmas, but that came out in the middle of the summer, like July. And I watched that last year with my family.
Yeah, well, let's get into our own personal traditions. So, what do you do as a family every year? I think you were saying like you tend to watch a movie together every year around Christmas, but it changes.
We usually get together Christmas Eve, like during the night. We usually watch a movie, and that has varied being what movie. Sometimes it's been Home Alone, sometimes it was Gremlins, one time it was Scrooged, which is, I think, a criminally underrated Christmas movie. Just saying. I love that movie. And then Die Hard, we've also watched that. It's varied, but we usually get together as a family and watch a movie.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know that we've ever had a super consistent holiday tradition. Some of the ones that I was able to think of, like I think most commonly we've gotten together to watch It's a Wonderful Life around the holidays. But when we were kids too, we'd always go to our grandparents' house to make cookies.
Ooh.
And like in between cookie making, we'd always watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version.
The classic.
Yeah, which I love looking back at that.
It's been a long time, but I want to see that again because I watched that all the time as a kid.
Yep. Oh, it's so like, I don't know, it's a weird vibe of that movie. Between
it's unique,
disturbing. Yeah, definitely very unique. But then this is getting like away from Christmas a little bit, but still in that time of year. For New Year's, for some reason, we started this tradition a while ago of watching National Treasure on New Year's Eve.
Oh, man.
And I don't know how that started, and we haven't totally kept up with it, but now we're thinking about like maybe restarting it again.
Because with like the past month or so, that it was like, I think like the 10th anniversary or 15th anniversary of that movie, and it made me like really want to watch it. And so you bringing that up, that is such an awesome thing.
Yeah, not the typical kind of holiday film.
No.
But, somehow it just became a tradition, and I think it's great.
There's something about that I really enjoy, where people have these traditions, but they're not really related to Christmas at all. So like
Mm-hmm.
if like a family was like, yeah, we get together and we watch like the first episode of Breaking Bad on Christmas, I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I love that because I want to know why. So like you with National Treasure, that's amazing. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a TV show, are there any like holiday episodes of TV shows that you have a particular attachment to?
There's definitely Community. They have a really good episode that I loved a lot.
Is that that's the
It's
Abed one?
the animated one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That
that's
one was great. Um,
For
I don't know any others off the top of my head.
Yeah, for me, there's this Doctor Who episode, which is like centered around kind of the idea of a Christmas story or a Christmas Carol. That I just love. It's during the Matt Smith era, and I watch it every Christmas. Well, not every Christmas, but like around Christmas
I'm
time.
trying to remember if I've seen. I think I have because I've watched like the Christopher Eccleston, the David Tennant Doctor Who, and then I watched Matt Smith. But I'm trying to figure out when I stopped, and I might have seen that.
Yeah, I stopped pretty much after Matt Smith, but yeah, I go back. That's really the only Doctor Who I watch anymore is going back and watching that episode because I think it's great. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of other Christmas movies that I watch regularly as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Home Alone.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Home Alone is something I grew up with and I love so much.
Yep. Between Home Alone and Home Alone 2, what's your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. I think I like Home Alone 2 better. Maybe, I don't know. That's such a tough one. I think I watched
Home Alone 2 more as a kid, so I had more of an attachment to that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I just think the traps were cooler. I can't even remember what they were.
Yeah. I think I remember Home Alone 1 more, and there's a lot of like iconic things, but I remember loving Home Alone 2 a lot just because I loved the idea of being in a limousine with a giant pizza and going to the toy store and doing whatever you wanted. That's the dream.
Yeah, I think I tend to like mix the two together a little bit between plot elements, but yeah, I think that's what I loved about it too. Was it's just so much more extravagance, and yeah, he has this whole like abandoned house instead of just like their home. I don't know. I thought it was really cool as a kid. Yeah,
and it's got the pigeon lady, the bird woman. That's so sweet.
Yep. And then another one that I've watched probably next most would be Elf.
Yeah, I always forget about Elf. Well, I don't always forget about it. It's people constantly remind me of it. And I go back and forth between liking it and not.
That's fair.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's one of the only, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other Will Ferrell movies that I actually like. I mean, there's Stranger Than Fiction I also really like, which is dramatic role. Well, dramatic comedic. But I don't know. I think he's great in Elf.
Oh, yeah. I do really like Elf. The more I think about it. Because it's, I don't know where it came from, but it's just like considered a classic now. And it's, I don't know why. It's so quotable.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One that I enjoy a lot is The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Yes, classic.
I really only like the first one because I don't really remember the other two that came out. But it's also kind of scary thinking about it. He kills Santa Claus.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day on how disturbing Santa Claus actually is when you think about it.
But that's one I always really enjoy, and I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of Christmas movie memories are associated with childhood.
Yeah.
Like the movies we watched growing up as kids and we still enjoy watching. Yeah. Because Santa Claus, Elf, and like Home Alone, definitely all hit that. Yeah.
That childhood bone, that nostalgia.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Christmas is really just like a childlike joy, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that encapsulates it pretty well.
there's another thing I just remembered. I keep remembering things, but a big movie that is huge in our family is A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got our dog on Christmas, and we named him Ralphie. And we constantly quote that movie, and it's definitely one that's ingrained in our family history.
Yep, that's another classic.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a big fan of that movie.
I completely am admitting that it's because I grew up with that movie. I'm sure if I saw it for the first time now, I'd be like, what is this?
The thing that disturbed me about that movie, watching it when I was younger, is the scene where he's like beating up the bully, and it just like it made me so sad as a kid. I don't know why.
It's
most people
strange. It's so weird.
It's so dark and depressing, and that's the one thing about that movie that I'm like, I can't watch this. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of great quotable things in that movie. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Do they have I think it's Christmas Day or Christmas Eve where they just play that movie 24/7, the entire day?
Yep.
And that's where I hear a lot of people going like, "Oh, I don't like that movie because they play it all the time."
Yep, that's fair. All right, well, I think that's where we'll wrap that up, and we'll move on to our recommendations. So I thought of one that's very Christmas related that I watched recently, just came out, and that is Klaus, which is on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
Yeah, I don't know. It had some magnificent animation, good story. Like, I feel like it's just a classic Christmas story.
Sorry, now that I'm seeing it, I do remember it.
Yep. You didn't watch it though?
No, I did not.
Yeah, well, it's not too late now that it's Christmas season, It's the perfect time. Yeah, I just think it's a great Christmas movie. Got some great humor, fantastic animation, and I highly recommend it for Christmas time.
I have a interesting movie recommendation.
All right.
So I want to recommend a great Christmas movie, but it's also a horror movie.
Okay.
It's Krampus. It was 2015. I'm trying to remember all the specifics, but I love it so much just because it's this well-made, kind of campy movie that is really unique, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Really embrace the dark side of Christmas.
It did, but it also ended in a way that I'm not going to spoil anything, but it ended in this creepy but also kind of heartfelt way to make you think about family and how much you should love each other, but it's also really weird and really scary, but it's not too scary. I just think it's really over the top, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it's not a Christmas movie a lot of people would want to watch, but me being a horror fan, I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you and that and Nightmare Before Christmas, and now The Shining you're going to add to your list. All right.
Top 10 horror Christmas movies.
Yeah, we need more.
Yes.
All right, well, that's where we'll wrap it up today. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know your Christmas traditions or your favorite Christmas movie in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Happy holidays, everybody.